The Hulu original series, Furious, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
There are 3 victims we know of. The suspect is female, white, late 20s.
Female serial killers
Kill for power, control. I believe there's a deeper motivation here.
You have no idea who you're dealing with, and you are going to end up dead.
I've been waiting for you.
Watch the Hulu original series, Furious, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. For bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
This episode is supported by FX's The Shards, a seductive drama from executive producer Ryan Murphy. Set in 1980s Los Angeles, the series follows a group of glamorous, deeply entangled high school seniors drawn into a life of wealth, beauty, parties, and excess. At its center is Brett, whose reality begins to unravel when the arrival of a new student coincides with a series of mysterious murders. FX's The Shards premieres August 5th on FX and Hulu.
Hello, my name is Chrissy Champagne, and you are listening to Residue, a true crime podcast dedicated to keeping you paranoid. On Residue, I tell you the truth behind your favorite movies, and today, this is a highly requested made-for-TV movie that you've all been asking for, and I've kept putting it off because this case is a highly debated case. This is Cries Unheard, the Donna Yaklich Story. Before we begin, do not forget to follow me on Instagram at Residue Podcast, TikTok, Residue a True Crime Podcast, and Facebook, Residue a True Crime Podcast. And please, pretty please, hit that follow button if you have not already. And do not forget, the greatest thing you could possibly do for any podcast that you love is leave a 5-star review. And I have been seeing the Residue comments in full effect on Apple, on Spotify, in my Instagram comments, in my DMs. You guys are the best. I tell you every time, but I can't tell you enough. You're all so amazing. And before we begin this week's episode, I do have to warn you that listener discretion is always advised. Cries Unheard, the Donna Yaklich Story, also known as Victim of Rage, is a 1994 made-for-TV film directed by Armand Mastroianni and starring Jacqueline Smith and Brad Johnson. It also stars Hilary Swank. The screenplay for Cries Unheard was based heavily on Donna Yaklich's account of her marriage, so as a result, the audience sees most events through her perspective, and Dennis Yaklich is portrayed as relentlessly abusive while relatively little time is devoted to the prosecution's case or to the views of Dennis's family. Members of Dennis's family, mainly his children from his first marriage, they have publicly disputed the film's depiction of him, and they have argued that Dennis was portrayed as almost entirely monstrous, and there were important facts that were favorable to him that were omitted. Donna's claims were accepted too readily by the filmmakers. Now, this is from their perspective of how the movie unfairly damaged their father's reputation. One of Dennis's daughters, Vanessa Yaklich, she has publicly described the film as an outright lie, in quotes, and has disputed many of Donna's allegations. Two of my main resources for today's episode were a Snapped episode about Donna Yaklich, and then there was a docuseries called Evil Stepmother, Nanny Nightmare. Now, you can see interviews with Donna in the Snapped episode, and you can also see interviews with Vanessa, Dennis's daughter. Vanessa is the main subject of the Evil Stepmother episode, so you see even more abuse that Vanessa describes that she herself went through at the hands of Donna. There was a Variety.com article in 1994 describing this made-for-TV movie, telling everybody this movie's going to be on TV soon, and this is what it's about. I just have to read this to you because I cannot believe that they described an actual, based on a true story movie about someone that experienced this, and this is what they wrote. An ugly, gross tale of wife abuse and murder, top-lining Jacqueline Smith. Arguably represents the nadir of the domestic violence genre. Battered women who harbor desires to kill their husbands will naturally be glued to their TV sets. So might unredeemable husbands pondering the wages of spousal brutality. But for all of its social relevance to a strata of family dysfunction, this story of small-town, true-life Colorado couple is a wretched experience despairingly told. Now, the tagline for this movie was "A desperate and terrifying marriage left her with but one choice: to kill, to survive." So, again, before we begin, listener discretion is highly advised, and if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is available. Call or text the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-7233 or visit thehotline.org. December 12th, 1985, Pueblo, Colorado. It's a little after midnight. 31-year-old Donna Yaklich is asleep. She is woken up by some very loud pounding, or what she believed to be pounding, but what it really was gunshots. Her husband, Dennis Yaklich, 38 years old, was shot to death in their driveway as he returned home from work. Dennis was a narcotics officer, and he was frequently undercover. Dennis arrived home that night. His whole family was inside of the home, asleep. He stepped out of his car, and he was shot 6 times to the body and once to the head. Donna immediately calls 911, and by 1 a.m., her home is surrounded by police officers who were all friends with her husband, Dennis. I mean, police officers were coming from everywhere. Even if they weren't on duty that night, they were at Dennis's house. It was 0 below outside that night, and one of Dennis's police officer friends describes the scene as Dennis laying on the ground just encased in ice. Donna stayed inside of the house the entire time because she said she was worried that the killer was still outside, so she wanted to stay inside and keep the kids safe. The scene is secured, but they are able to follow boot prints through a cornfield behind the Yaklich house. Now, according to the crime scene, the boot prints, the gun shells, this was definitely done by 2 people, and one of the shooters left a glove behind. So officers start thinking this must be someone that had a grudge, that had a vendetta against Dennis. I mean, he was a narcotics officer. So they start thinking this could be this one particular drug dealer in town. They go to his house. They bust his door down. He's asleep on his couch. He has not left that apartment in quite a while, and they know right away, okay, this is not our guy. To the outside world, the Yaklich family was a wonderful working-class family. Donna was a beautiful wife. There was no trouble in the marriage. Donna Yaklich was born in 1955 in South Dakota. Her family soon moved to Pueblo, Colorado in 1966. She was the middle child. She was shy, reserved. She had a stutter as a child. So she was very shy when it came to speaking in front of people. Now, Donna is interviewed in the Snapped episode, and she says that when teachers would give her assignments to stand in front of the class and talk, she would just take an F. But by high school, she starts to lose her stutter, and she grows into this gorgeous young woman. Like all of the guys in school had a crush on Donna, but she didn't care about men. She didn't want anything to do with the boys because it was really difficult to be around the boys because her father was abusive, according to Donna, and he did not want her dating boys. There's a story of Donna going to a shopping mall one night with all of her friends. Her father was so upset that she went out that he went into that shopping mall and pulled her out physically in front of everybody and said he did not want her hanging around boys. So this man did not make dating easy for her. Once Donna graduates high school, she gets the hell out of this household. She leaves her parents behind. She immediately meets a man in 1973. He was an aspiring musician. She marries him. She met him in the summer of 73, and by October 73, she's married to him already. So she moves to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she says in the Snapped episode that this guy was a singer in a band, and he forgot to come home at night, and then she giggled about it. they got divorced pretty quickly because obviously this man was spending way more time with groupies than his wife. So she leaves Tulsa and she goes back home to Pueblo. And she didn't say that she was going to stay here forever and make this her home now. She was just going to stay here with her family for a couple of weeks, see if things could smooth over, and then go back to Tulsa. But she stays in Pueblo because she met a man named Dennis Yaklich. Now, let me tell you, I had a lot of sources for this one, but one of the sources, Snapped, says that Donna's sister set her up on a blind date with Dennis. And then there's the Evil Stepmother series who said that Donna was a nanny for Dennis. So what I'm thinking is that Donna and Dennis go on a blind date. Donna finds out that Dennis has children from a previous marriage. His wife passed away. He was left with 3 stepchildren and a child between he and his wife. So Donna ends up moving into his home pretty quickly after that first date, just like the marriage that happened pretty quickly. She moves in because he says that he needs help with his children. Donna fell head over heels in love with Dennis because Dennis Yaklich was a 6'5", 280-pound, all-muscle guy. This man, at this point, was one of the strongest men in the world. He could bench 600 pounds. He was a professional bodybuilder before he became a police officer. He even competed against bodybuilders like Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk. He had so many trophies. I mean, in 1972, he stops this professional bodybuilding career and he joins the Pueblo police force. Now, I have to just say this right now because I keep saying Pueblo and my brain keeps saying that I'm saying it wrong. It feels like it's coming out of my mouth wrong. So please excuse me if I am pronouncing this Pueblo, Colorado. Like I said, Dennis's first wife, Barbara, she died from complications due to anorexia. Now they gloss right over that in the Snapped episode, but I wanted to read to you from another source. This was a book called Husband Killer, Donna Yaklich by Jesse Dixon. They describe Barbara's death a little differently. I will just read a bit to you. Discrepancies were found in the autopsy report, which originally claimed Barbara had fainted from taking diet pills when her bodybuilder husband Dennis tried, quote, energetically to resuscitate her. She suffered bleeding in her abdomen. However, administering CPR is not an appropriate reaction to fainting. And as a police officer that is trained in CPR, Dennis would have known this. Still, there was apparently no examination of the potential crime scene. And when Dennis was asked to take a polygraph to support his defense, he refused. Denver area pathologist Michael Doberson determined that the conclusion and the reports were very unusual. The internal damage Barbara had suffered, he claimed, was more likely caused by a blow to the abdomen. Doberson included his findings in a letter to Johnson dated in 2005, stating that in his opinion, quote, the entire scenario is simply not credible. A second forensic pathologist concurred with Doberson's conclusions. Now, according to reports, Barbara's liver tore open and her abdomen was quickly filled with more than 2,000 milliliters of blood, nearly 40% of her total blood volume and more than twice as much as is typical in a victim of a fatal car accident. Investigators are now considering her death as, quote, suspicious, with the tear caused by a blunt force trauma consistent with, quote, punches and knee drops to the upper abdomen. Now, the book goes on to say that there's no investigation into Barbara's death. That investigation is completed. So Donna meets Dennis after the death of his wife, and he's a family man, and she loves that about him. She thought that this was love at first sight, and she said, I did not expect to fall in love with his children who so desperately needed someone. They were grieving for their mother, so I couldn't bear to leave them. Now, Barbara had 3 children from a previous marriage before she met Dennis. There was a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old. Then, together with Dennis, she had 3-year-old Vanessa. I'm saying Vanessa's name because Vanessa talks a lot on these docuseries, especially Evil Stepmother. Now, Vanessa has a lot to say about Donna. She did not like that Donna came into their home. She did not get along with Donna. She claims that Donna was physically, mentally, emotionally abusive to her while she lived in the home with them. when Barbara died, Dennis applied for guardianship of his 3 stepchildren, and he raised them, and he raised Vanessa. Now, Donna is coming in to live in the house to help him because he is a single father working full-time as a narcotics officer, undercover, so he needed all the help he could get. And she wasn't living with them long before he decided, hey, we should get married. So after about a year, in 1978, they get married. And then by 1979, they have a son of their own named Dennis Jr. So this is a family of 7 now living under this roof. And this was a really hard shift for Donna. Donna was all of a sudden the mother of 5 children, and she was home alone with these children all of the time. She took care of everything, all of the things involving the children, the household, the finances, and Dennis worked full-time to support the family. So the family was not exactly raking in the dough. And the youngest, Dennis, started school in 1984, so Donna thought, okay, now I can finally get a job. She took a day job as a cashier at a grocery store, and she worked her way into purchasing. Now, Donna's income was helping the family out a little bit, but they were still in massive debt, and the bills were not being paid. Donna was in charge of these bills. She would hide the bills from Dennis, and the bill collectors would constantly be calling. Now, this is all according to Vanessa, Barbara and Dennis's daughter. She claims that she remembers the bill collectors constantly calling. And she remembers that after 7 years of marriage, Dennis decides that he wants out of this marriage. He tells Donna that they are done. And Donna seems to be fine with this decision. They decide, hey, listen, the holidays are coming up. Maybe we should wait to tell the kids. This was because they didn't think they should ruin the holidays for the children. Don't tell them that their parents are getting divorced. But little Vanessa claims that Donna did tell her, that Donna came up to her and said, your daddy and I are going to get divorced. By February 1986, 2 months after the murder of Dennis Yaklich, the case is going cold, and the family is trying to move on. Dennis had a $150,000 insurance policy. That was changed to $250,000 since he was killed in the line of duty. So Donna and the kids are financially secure right now. Donna even went out and bought the family a new car, the first new car they ever had. She bought a Chevy Blazer. At this point, there are no prime suspects. The police keep going back to the crime scene, especially the cornfield that the killers ran through. So they come up with this idea, and they asked a neighborhood kid named Eddie Greenwell to run a combine through the cornfield and just kind of clear out some of the corn stalks so that they could have a better view. So this kid is like, oh my God, of course I'll do that. He even makes a comment like, a young guy like me needs to find any way to make money. And at this point, the community is just completely in shock that there are absolutely no suspects, absolutely no leads. That is until Crime Stoppers receives a call. Now, this girl calls Crime Stoppers. She will not tell them her name. She wants to remain anonymous, but she says that she has a friend who is the girlfriend of one of the perpetrators. And how does she know this? Because the perpetrator and his brother bragged about it. They committed the murder. And who could these perpetrators be? Well, none other than Eddie Greenwell, the one clearing out the field for the police right now, and his brother, Charlie Greenwell. So this girl that called Crime Stoppers, she agrees to meet with police. They ask her, they beg her, will you please wear a wire and go talk to your friend? It's her best friend. So she goes to her best friend's house and she gets her to admit on the wire that her boyfriend, Charlie Greenwell, did this, that she knows that he killed Dennis Yaklich. And this girl cried in this wire recording. So detectives get a search warrant for not only the Greenwell house, but also this girlfriend's house. So they go to the Greenwell house and they find the shotgun. They find the second shotgun used at a neighbor's house. Now, this neighbor says, yeah, these boys asked if they could borrow my shotgun. Why somebody would let somebody borrow their gun, I do not know. I don't even care if it was the 80s. What is going on? So he let them borrow the gun. Now the police know These are the two guns. They go to the girlfriend's house. They search her house, and under her bed, they find a pair of the Greenwell boys' father's boots. They wore their father's boots to commit this crime, and then they hid them under one of their girlfriend's beds. On February 27th, 1986, police pick up Charlie Greenwell at a detention youth center where he was being held on an unrelated charge, and now they find his brother, Eddie. So they put Charlie in an interrogation room, and Charlie immediately talks. He and his brother, they parked their car on a farm road near the Yaklich house. They walked through the cornfield, and they waited for Dennis to come home. The older Greenwell brother, Eddie, at age 22, walked straight up to Dennis laying on the ground and shot him point blank in the head with a sawed-off shotgun. Now, 16-year-old Charlie Greenwell says that his brother did this for Donna. Donna complained to them that her marriage was horrible, that Dennis was abusive, that she didn't know how to get out of this situation. How could she? He's a police officer. He's got the authorities on his side. If they could help her, they would each gain $45,000, and Donna would pay them in increments. She would pay $20,000 after the murder, and then $5,000 per year for 5 years, resulting in $45,000 each. Now, these police knew Donna. They thought that they were friends with Donna. She came into the police station and had lunch with them, with the kids. They were shocked. So the younger Greenwell brother, Charlie, he's confessed. He's told them everything. So 22-year-old Eddie Greenwell is brought in, and he's not going to open his mouth. This guy is not going to talk. He said that he liked Dennis. He had no issues with Dennis. He didn't do anything wrong. But they already have the word of his 16-year-old brother, so that's all they needed. That was all the info that they needed to arrest Donna. But Donna was gone. Nobody knew where Donna was. Donna disappeared. Where the hell was she? Because nobody had seen her in days. So they call her house and they talk to her 20-year-old stepdaughter. Now, her stepdaughter lied to them and told them that she was at her grandmother's house in South Dakota. But then the stepdaughter felt really bad, and she calls back the police and she tells them, listen, I lied. She's not in South Dakota with her grandmother. She is in Jamaica on vacation with her new boyfriend, an attorney named John Giddick. So the DA's office calls John Giddick in Jamaica and told him, listen, we're arresting your new girlfriend, Donna, so she needs to turn herself in. So Donna showed up at the police department with her new attorney/boyfriend, who is now representing her, and she said she was really scared, that she had to walk past all of Dennis's friends in that police station. She had to walk by his old desk. Donna is arrested for first-degree murder, and she is let free on a $100,000 bond, but she doesn't speak. After her arrest, Eddie Greenwell starts talking. Eddie said that months before the murder, Donna just started talking to him one day while he was doing farm chores for the Yakliches at their house. And Donna just approached him, walked up to him with the idea of murdering her husband. She helped them plan every single detail. This is according to Eddie Greenwell. He tells police that she wanted to make sure that they killed Dennis before Dennis killed them. Because if Dennis saw them, there's no way that they were going to be able to pull this off because he would take them out first. She also said that Dennis won't have a bulletproof vest on, so you have to shoot him quick. Donna would wait to call 911 so that the Greenwell brothers had a chance to get away. Now, the Greenwells confessed to all of this. They made a deal with the DA and they were offered second-degree murder charges in exchange for agreeing to testify against Donna. They would receive life in prison with parole. So on January 26th, 1988, 2 years after the murder of Dennis Yaklich, Donna goes on trial. Now, she already dropped her new boyfriend/lawyer, John Giddick, and she got 2 new attorneys. And this trial is declared a mistrial. There will be a new trial. This time, Donna is going to face the death penalty. On May 10th, 1988, 5 months after the mistrial, her new trial begins. The prosecution will claim that Dennis was murdered for money by his wife. That was her motive. But Donna's attorney begins saying, yes, okay, we're going to admit this time. Donna did have her husband killed, but it wasn't for money. It was for self-defense. She was terrorized by Dennis. She feared for her life. She was abused. Now, the whole courtroom was shocked by this allegation. There were officers in there who were friends with Dennis, and they all said, we never saw any evidence of abuse. And Dennis's children were especially angry. They were resentful. They didn't believe any of these remarks from the defense. The DA called the Greenwell brothers to the stand and had them each testify against Donna and explain everything that happened that night. Now, here's the thing. Donna already admitted what she did. So what was the prosecution trying to prove by putting the Greenwell brothers on the stand? Because yes, Donna admits everything they're saying is correct, but I did this because my husband was abusing me. They bring up witnesses asking them, do you ever think that Donna was abused? Did you ever see any bruises? Did you ever hear any yelling? First of all, here's the thing. Nobody knows what goes on inside of somebody else's home. So the prosecution even starts talking about how Donna wore skimpy clothes, that this was a woman that liked to just show her body off, that she liked to wear tiny shorts and tank tops. So obviously we would have all seen the bruises. That is absolutely insane to me. But Donna does come back and say, listen, you don't see bruises on me because Dennis didn't need to hit me. He was an intimidating man. Even just his presence scared the hell out of me. And she claims mental, emotional abuse as well. But the defense has Donna's stepson, who was 17 at the time, get up on the stand. And he is asked about a day that he heard a bowl crash in the kitchen. Like he heard a glass bowl fall to the ground. And the defense asked him, what did you think happened when you were sitting up in your room and you heard that glass break? What was your first thought? And he said, I thought that Dennis threw Donna through a plate glass window. So they're saying, so why would a kid assume that his stepmother was thrown through a plate glass window if he heard glass break? That's not something that a person living in a normal household would assume. The defense also brought in a mailman who claimed to see Donna bruised up. They brought in a telephone repairman who claimed that he repaired the phone at their home numerous times after it had been pulled out of a wall. And then Donna's sister also testified that Donna once fled. She left Dennis, fled to a Denver women's shelter with Dennis Jr. And the defense couldn't prove that Donna actually went to this shelter. Like there were no records that she was in the shelter. They couldn't prove that she stayed overnight. But her sister is testifying, yes, my sister went to this shelter. She was only there for one night and then she came to my house and she was shaken. She had bumps on her head like she was in a fight. And Dennis called Donna at her sister's house, apologizing and begging her to come home. So her sister is a witness to this. And the defense starts to say that this is a cycle of domestic abuse. Donna would try to leave, and Dennis would beg her to come home. Now, in the docuseries Evil Stepmother, Vanessa Yaklich speaks to the camera crew, and she does talk about the fact that Dennis's parents accused Donna of stealing money from them, forging checks. And when they confronted Donna, Donna got scared, freaked out, and that's when she left. That she didn't actually go to a women's shelter, that she was getting away because she did something wrong and she was trying to get away from home before anyone found out. So I found this email that was written in 1994 in response to the movie premiering the Cries Unheard, the Donna Yaklich Story. This email is quite long, and the sender is actually stating everything that you can see in the Evil Stepmother docuseries in reference to Vanessa Yaklich's side of the story. Now, this says that Vanessa Yaklich was interviewed by a CBS affiliate station, Channel 7, immediately after the movie was shown. And Vanessa said that Donna had said so many awful things that it is unreal. She cannot believe that she is allowed to say these things, and there is no evidence to back up the things that Donna is saying, yet people believe it. Vanessa added that as someone who had lived under the same roof with Donna and Dennis for the entire 8 years of their marriage, she can testify that all Donna's stories and beatings from Dennis were a, quote, outright lie. In an interview with the same news producers, Dennis's brother says that they were never contacted at all by the movie, by the filmmakers, and all of this movie, the entire plot solely is relying upon prison interviews with Donna and no one else except Donna. Donna Yaklich conned the movie producers, but they were not the first people she conned. Now, this is according to the email, the sender. One of the most cynical omissions by the movie makers was their failure to make any reference to Donna's bad check forging sprees during her marriage to Dennis. In real life, Donna stole the checkbook of Dennis's parents and proceeded to write checks to herself, forging their signatures. When Ed Yaklich, Dennis's father, found out about Donna's criminal capers, he warned her that he would file a complaint if she did it again. After this warning, Donna forged yet another check. Dennis's brother told the local press Dennis knew nothing about the forged checks. We called Donna over and she denied that she wrote the check, and I shoved it in her face and she admitted she forged it. My dad said as soon as Dennis gets home, we're going to tell him about it and confront the DA. This is when Donna went to the shelter. It was because we were going to turn her in for forged checks. So as I said in the beginning, there are wildly differing views on the events of this case. The defense is claiming that Donna suffered from battered wife syndrome, that she experienced violence, and she believed she was in danger. But the prosecution disagreed. She had a job. She went to work every day. She had many friends. She always went off and did whatever she wanted. I mean, these are real quotes from the prosecution. Oh my goodness, she can't possibly be abused. She had a job. What do you mean? Women who have jobs aren't abused. She had friends. It's mind-blowing. The prosecution also brings up that Donna had an affair days before Dennis's murder, that she went to a sales event, a sales meeting for her job, and she went back to a hotel room with a coworker. While she was on the stand, she claimed, yes, I did. I had a one-night stand. She said, quote, I was trying to push myself over the edge. I did not care about myself at this time. Donna takes the stand and paints Dennis as an out-of-control cop, a hot-tempered man with a reputation for being difficult. He was a tough husband. He threatened her with physical abuse. He choked her, threw her against a wall by a fireplace, held her by her neck, and he pulled his gun out and put it to her face and said, do you know how bad I want to kill you? He would take crime scene photos of corpses and he would show them to her to frighten her. And Donna was asked on the stand, okay, well then why didn't you go to the authorities? And she said, how could I do that? He was the authorities. She claimed she went to the Greenwell brothers because she was scared and she was at a loss. According to Husband Killer, the conspiracy to commit murder was a, quote, justifiable act of self-defense, committed under duress resulting from years of physical and psychological battering by her husband. Donna Yaklich lived in a constant state of fear of her husband, and at the time of his death, she did truly believe that she was in danger of being killed by him or receiving great bodily injury from him. Additionally, battered women may not psychologically or emotionally have the alternative of leaving the abuser because of their low self-esteem, their emotional and economic dependency, the absence of another place to go, and the woman's legitimate fear of the abuser's response to her leaving. Battered women become trapped in their own fear and often feel that their only recourse is to kill the batterer or be killed. Jesse Dixon writes, another concern for Yaklich was her husband's established persona of invincibility, one he had carefully instilled in her over years of repeated psychological and physical abuse. Not only did Donna struggle to trust in her own ability to kill her husband, she struggled to believe that he would ever really die. After Donna's testimony in front of a jury of 11 women and 1 man, the DA made a motion to drop the death penalty, and it was granted. after closing arguments were made, the jury came to a decision. Not guilty of first-degree murder, but Donna Yaklich was guilty of conspiracy to murder. Donna Yaklich was sentenced to 40 years in prison. She served half of that time, and in 2005, she was released to a group home. Charles Greenwell was only 16 years old when he murdered Dennis Yaklich, and at age 34, he was discharged from prison on November 18, 2003, after serving 18 years of a 20-year prison sentence, and his brother, Eddie Greenwell, was released from prison in May 2009 after serving part of his 30-year sentence. On murderpedia.org, there is a summary by Donna Yaklich, and I would like to read it to you. Dennis and I met in April 1977. I was 22 and he was 30. I moved in with him a few months later to help him with his 3-year-old daughter and his 3 stepchildren, ages 9, 11, and 12. My plan was to stay that summer, get Dennis's kids back in the home because they were living at his mother's house, and then go back to Tulsa. I had not expected to fall in love with the children who so desperately needed someone. Their mother, Barbara Yaklich, had passed away on February 14, 1977. They were grieving for their mother, so I couldn't bear to leave them. Dennis had become abusive about a month after I moved in, and I left, and a few times, but like most battered women, I went back. I feared Dennis, but at the same time, I felt at home with him because I had grown up in an abusive environment. I fell into the trap of thinking if I could make everything perfect for him, he wouldn't get mad at me or at the kids. Dennis's threats to kill me or kill someone I loved if I ever left again kept me there. Eventually, I lost myself. I lost hope because Dennis was a police officer. I knew that I could not be protected from him. Dennis's fellow officers knew he was out of control, but they also knew when they needed him, he would be the first to go through the door. No one who worked with him would go against him. Dennis's narcotic operations gave him access to federal law enforcement agents with the capabilities of finding anyone anywhere. He warned me I would never get away from him. He would always find me, and I believed him. I became very depressed and mad at myself because I had not trusted my instincts about leaving the relationship when this abuse started. Suicidal thoughts became an answer. And then came homicidal thoughts. Looking back, I wish I would have listened to my instincts. But there comes a point when I just stopped listening. Suicide or homicide is definitely not the answer. As for my life now, being in prison is similar to the prison I put myself in while I was married to Dennis. However, prison is also what you make of it, so I've enrolled in educational programs, I've had therapy, and I've also taken care of myself. Things I should have done in society. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Residue. Do not forget to hit that follow button so I can see you all back here again next Tuesday. And until then, stay safe and stay paranoid. Residue is created, hosted, written, researched, edited, and produced by me, Chrissy Champagne. See you soon.